Now, with The Mandalorian Season 3 now over and a thing of the past, both John and Dave are looking over to the future for shows out there like Star Wars Ahsoka and Mandalorian Season 4 to really embrace the new. That's really going to borrow a lot of aspects, by the way, from Star Wars Legends to be done in live-action adaptations to really kind of just deliver things to the hardcore fans that really fully supported this franchise for over 40-plus years. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support, and let's get right into the subject. Now, one thing that a lot of fans have been very interested in has a lot to do with the fact that there are a lot of things happening with the shift that the Disney executives are embracing. This has a lot to do with getting new, Lucasfilm creatives on board, such as writers, producers, directors, etc., to really lead these upcoming movies and shows and whatnot, to really propel things in a better path. Now, one thing that actor Pedro Pascal had to talk about isn't so reassuring, and I think it's something that a lot of fans are going to feel very underwhelmed and let down about, and very much, impatient about. So specifically, of course, we know that Pedro had a bit of a falling out with Kathleen Kennedy over Skeleton Crew. We've talked about this multiple times. It was a whole thing that happened over the course of a couple of weeks, and he's out of the Skeleton Crew show. That's no longer happening for him as djarin, but he is going to remain as Din in upcoming shows. However, with actor Pedro Pascal promoting different franchises lately like The Last of Us and Star Wars, he was able to eventually discuss The Mandalorian and what's going on with that. Now, Pedro went on to state the following to the fans. Well, I do have an update for fans, and I know many are going to be upset, but for Season 4 that I have been looking over with John and Dave, between the writer's strike and them doing rewrites and revisions of the script, we probably won't be getting this season out until at least the beginning of 2025, the earliest. I know John and Dave want to take their time on this one because they are going to be all on their own. But the longer the strike that takes place, the longer the season is going to get delayed, sadly. So it looks like the adventures of Din and Grogu may be on hold for a while, but I promise fans that they are really going to do some wild things with this one. I know fans were let down with Season 3, and there were a number of reasons why we got that type of reception, which was already addressed by Kathy. But they also want to make this one a longer story with many character arcs and to not just focus on Grogu and Din. Now let me just stop here quick about what Pedro's putting out there. Now this is the biggest question of all. Are fans going to lose interest over The Mandalorian if the wait time is way too long between Season 3 and Season 4? That's the biggest question of all that I think a lot of you guys should really participate in below in the comments. I would love to hear what you guys have to say about that. But it is a real, legitimate, valid question. Are fans going to lose interest in The Mandalorian specifically if they take so long to really bring this thing out on Disney+? And from what Pedro says here, it's very likely not to arrive until at least, he says, the beginning of 2025. That means that it may even be longer than that, and that's not great news. Now, the writer's strike, so far, it's still going on. It's being a very persistent thing right now. We're not quite sure if it's going to be as bad as the one back in 2007 leading into 2008. We'll have to wait and see. But so far, it's not looking good for a lot of release dates, and you gotta remember that if one show gets delayed, it creates a domino effect for other shows getting delayed and/or projects. Now, in no way, shape, or form is this going to create an impact for things that are already written out. So Ahsoka is going to be releasing this August. That's going to be all fine and okay. Acolyte and Skeleton Crew, even though a lot of fans out there, including myself, are very skeptical about that show or shows because it's mainly Kathleen Kennedy projects, those are not getting delayed because of the writer's strike, but some of those are getting delayed because of creative issues that are happening behind closed doors. The thing about this that Pedro makes clear is that John and Dave are also doing revisions to the script of Mando 4. Now, whether or not that's a response to the Mando Season 3 backlash or not is a mystery as of right now. I would go as far to say that it may play somewhat of a role as to why John and Dave are rewriting some elements of the script, but we'll have to wait and see. Now on to the next, alright? He goes on to elaborate. So I guess you could say there is a silver lining to this underwhelming news, or at least what I think fans would see as underwhelming. I know we took a while to get Season 3 out, but it's looking like it's going to take us longer to get Season 4 released than it did for Season 3. We are very likely looking at a 2-year wait or in or around that there until Jon and Dave's vision of 4 is shared with the public. But they are very optimistic about Ahsoka and what they did with that show, and I couldn't be more excited to see how that works out for them in the end. I can confirm it's a mixture of those two things that's really setting us back for long, and I think if fans just remain patient and they are going to feel like the wait is more than worth it. I am very confident about that response fans will have if they can find the time to wait and see. Now, again, Pedro is making it ultimately clear that if fans just wait it out and see what they have to say, you know, what Jon and Dave have to deliver, that they're going to be very happy with this particular season. So that's one thing to be aware of, is that they are really taking their time on the script. They're rewriting it, you know, pieces here and there. They want to make it into a longer story, which, hey, that's great news too, because this could very well be, for example, 10 episodes instead of 8, maybe 12 episodes, who knows. But at the end of the day, I think that what Jon and Dave need to do, and it is a necessity at this point, I think, is that you have to elongate these shows past 8 episodes. 8 episodes are way too short, considering that some of the episodes, regardless, it's inevitable, some of them will have a lot of filler. So it's best to have longer episodes, or at least more episodes that are the same length, where you can kind of sacrifice some of those episodes where they are filler and it won't have a great impact on wasting time from the show's flow, you know, the way it flows. So I think that was another big problem with Mando Season 3, is that a lot of fans felt a lot of episodes in there were filler, and Kathleen Kennedy had a lot to blame for that. She did have a lot of control over the script, but she had zero control when they were filming. That's when she lost her creative power for a lot of Jon and Dave's projects. So it was a bit of a misconception as to Kathleen Kennedy having no control at all over Mando Season 3. She did when the script was being developed, but like I said before, not when they were filming. So interestingly enough though, Pedro is putting it out there that he believes through and through that if fans find the time and really remain patient, that they're going to be very happy and very satisfied with what they, as in Jon and Dave, are about to deliver for Mando 4. And again, we've talked about this. The fact that Pedro says that there's going to be multiple character arcs in here, and how it's not just going to focus on Din and Grogu. It also fits in with the leaks that we've been covering, that it is going to have a lot of Luke in there. It's going to introduce Mara Jade as well. They're going to introduce some of Luke Skywalker's new generation of Jedi, new bounty hunters, stuff like that. And basically we do know it has a time jump. We're just not quite sure how far ahead it goes from Season 3. That's something that Jon and Dave are also figuring out with the rewrites. So overall, I would really love to hear what each and every one of you guys have to say about this whole scenario related to Mandalorian Season 4, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.
From night to moon.